So there's some vital information in this, in the first couple minutes of this video. I'm going to play it and let you listen to it, and then we're going to talk about it. You need to hear it. Turn your ears on now.
Christmas has been canceled in Bethlehem. As the death toll tops 20,000 in Gaza, we begin today's show in the occupied West Bank. Yes, in the city of Bethlehem, the birthplace of Jesus Christ. The Christmas season is normally a festive time in Bethlehem, but not this year, as church leaders have canceled public Christmas festivities, citing Israel's devastating attack on Gaza. This is the Reverend Isaac Munther, the Palestinian pastor of a landmark Lutheran church in Bethlehem. He addressed his congregation earlier this month in front of a nativity scene with the figure of Jesus Christ in a keffiyeh surrounded by rubble.
Christmas is a ray of light and hope from the heart of pain and suffering. Christmas is the radiance of life from the heart of destruction and death. In Gaza, God is under the rubble. He's in the operating room. If Christ were to be born today, he would be born under the rubble. I invite you to see the image of Jesus in every child killed and pulled from under the rubble, and every child struggling for life in destroyed hospitals, and every child in incubators. Christmas celebrations are canceled this year, but Christmas itself is not and will not be canceled, for our hope cannot be canceled.
That was the Reverend Isaac Munther, the Palestinian pastor of a landmark Lutheran church in Bethlehem. He spoke in front of a nativity scene with the figure of Christ surrounded by rubble, the baby Jesus. Earlier this week, Pope Francis accused Israel of committing terrorism in Gaza after an Israeli sniper shot dead 2 women, an elderly woman and her adult daughter, who had tried to save her mother at a Catholic church in Gaza City where they had sought refuge. It was the Holy Family Parish Church. Politico reports Israel recently attacked a church and a convent in Gaza, even though congressional staffers in Washington had urged Israel to protect the religious sites and gave them the coordinates of the churches. We go now to Bethlehem, where we're joined by the Reverend Mitri Raheb. He's president of Dar al-Kalima University in Bethlehem, Palestinian Christian theologian who's authored many books, including Decolonizing Palestine, the Land, the People, the Bible. It's hard to say Merry Christmas to you, Reverend Professor Dr. Mitri Raheb, but I will ask you how you're observing Christmas this year. Talk about Bethlehem.
You know, it's a very sad Christmas. I don't think in my entire life I experienced so much sadness, but also so much anger about what's happening in Gaza. As you said, the festivities were canceled in Bethlehem, so you don't have Christmas lights, you don't have Christmas tree in Bethlehem. There are no tourists coming because of the war, and the people are not up for celebrations because our people in Gaza, but not only our people in Gaza, also our people in the West Bank. We here in the West Bank, we experiencing apartheid, colonization by Jewish settlers, and the death tolls, as you said, 20,000 in Gaza, but also even in the West Bank in the hundreds, and also the detainees, Palestinian detainees within these 75 days in the West Bank are over 3,000.
You have said that the story of Christmas, the story of the birth of Jesus, is more relevant now than ever, even though you will not be having festivities around this.
Correct, because the Christmas story actually is a Palestinian story par excellence. It talks about a family in Nazareth in the north of Palestine that is ordered by an imperial decree of the Romans to evacuate to Bethlehem, to go there and register. And this is exactly what our people in Gaza has been experiencing these 75 days. It talks about Mary, the pregnant woman, on the run, exactly like 50,000 women in Gaza who are actually displaced. Jesus was born actually as a refugee. There was no place at the inn for him to be born. So he was put in a manger. And this is exactly what also the kids that are coming to life these days in Gaza are experiencing. Most of the hospitals are damaged, out of service. And so there is no delivery places for all of these pregnant women in Gaza. And then you have the bloodthirsty Herod that ordered to kill the kids in Bethlehem to stay in power. And in Gaza, over 8,000 kids, they have been murdered for Netanyahu to stay in power. And you have this message that the angels declared here, glory to God in the highest, peace on earth, which was actually a critique of the empire, because glory belongs to the Almighty and not to the mighty. And the peace that Jesus came to proclaim is not the peace, the Pax Romana, the peace that is based on subjugation and military oppression, but on human dignity, equality, and justice. And this is actually what.
Well, in the first, when that pastor, the preacher guy, the father, whatever, the Catholic guy started to talk, when he first started to speak, for the first few sentences he said, he was absolutely 100% correct. He said that Christmas is canceled, and that he said that God, that they made that little whatever display and put the baby Jesus on the rubble. He said that God was under the rubble, and that's 100% true. The one that they're thinking of, my mighty most high Abba Yahuwah, but they call him whatever they want. He is under the rubble there. That place is rubble, and it's because they buried righteousness and truth. He said that the festivities were canceled this year because of the misery and the pain and the anguish. If I was there and I couldn't do it now, being on this side of the earth, just seeing it on TV. If I was there witnessing all the murder and death of little children, you can bet your ass I ain't having no part of no festivities. You can take the festivities and do you know what with them. So that's true. And he said that at the end of that first little part there, he said, but Christmas will continue. The festivities, but Christmas will continue. We're going to show that we're committed. That part's true too. They're not going to stop. And they'll make those they'll call him whatever they want. They're going to do what they want. They're still going to partake with Christmas, just in sadness. Even though the Bible that they have in their hand, why they're telling you this, tells them all through it from front to back and side to side, it tells you to have nothing to do with Christmas. Nothing. So, all that's true, that they're just going to continue with the forehead of a hoe. They're not going to stop. And everything that's happening right now, it's been happening in progression, in steps. The Most High has led us, like I've been telling you guys, he's led us along with that slow, gentle hand. Everything is right on time. What we're learning, this comes to pass, and I heard this guy the other day, he said this analogy. He was talking about the interviewer asked this guy who was out in the field interviewing, he said, how is it that your information that you're giving us is so ahead of these other news agencies? And he said those other people are at the catcher's mound, or catcher's mitt. They're at the catcher's mitt. And he said, I'm at the pitcher's mound. So he's not sitting there he's seeing what's being thrown at us from the pitcher's mound. So he knows what's coming. Everyone else is at the catcher's mitt. They're just sitting there taking whatever's coming, and got no idea what it is until it's in your mitt, till it's hit you. All these things, it's been right on time. He has all the right moves all the time. The reason that's happening, just like I said, I've been trying to hint to you guys that what happened at Passover, all the firstborn, the children, it was a children deal. Look what this whole story is about. This whole story is about a wedding and about a child being born, and the bride and everything being reborn, renewed in the end. That story over there is the fake place, the fake story. And that is where Jesus from Bethlehem came from. Yes. But the Messiah that's found in the Word, the truth, the way and the life, it did not. It has nothing to do with any of that over there. If it did, none of that would be over there. None of this would be happening. But because of us, it is happening. All those things are happening because, just like we read yesterday, he considers all our paths. He knows your loyalty, your faith, if you're trustworthy or not by what you're doing, where you've went, where you are. He knows. And that place over there, it is a trap. It's a decoy, like I told you. It's to get all the birds over there pecking, thinking that that's the spot. But little do they know, it's the trap that will kill them. The whole place and the whole world. Look at all the, if I would have let that video play, they showed where the Pope talked about it and said it was terrorism on their behalf. The man was saying that it's a shame that the U.S. vetoed the UN agreement or whatever for a ceasefire, to call for a ceasefire, that the U.S. vetoed it. It doesn't matter how you support them. If you can't say, yeah, maybe we should pause, let's talk about this, when you see all the little children getting killed, instead you say, no, it's their right to defend themselves and they can kill all them little children. If that's you, you're getting sucked right down that toilet bowl with the rest of everybody else. And the ones that are over there doing it, the victims. That's why it's happening to them. That's why they got that rubble display, because that's what's coming. That's what's being made manifest, is destruction, death, cancel. Everything that world is about to be canceled. No doubt about it. And every day you see the signs more and more. Every day you see it getting closer and closer. You see that the branches of the fig, of the vine, are tender, and they've put forth leaves and buds. You see all the information we've gotten from the Word that telling us the Father will come home on the day of the covering, the appointed time. The appointed time. You seen in that story, that video we just watched, it was 20,000 have been killed, and this is just their numbers. It might be way more than this. Who knows? But we know that a lot of killing. of innocent little little children are innocent, but they're in that place is a result of doing whatever you want. Celebrating Christmas, Babylon. That's what's happened. And he promised us that. The world. And all these people got the Bible in their hand, and they are sitting there doing what it tells you not to do. Boldly they do it. So it should be no surprise. That's the advantage of being on the pitcher's mound versus being at the catcher's mitt. If you're on the pitcher's mound, you're not sitting there. You see what's coming, and when it happens, you transition nicely because you've been anticipating this. You've been alert and focused and watching your surroundings and searching for the truth. You're going to just step right over and transition into this next phase of life that we're about to enter. But only few are going to enter because everyone else is at the catcher's mitt and they're taken by surprise. They got no idea what's coming. They can just watch it come and hope for the best. Hope they can catch it. But this time it's not a baseball. It's everything. The verse of the day. Isaiah, Yeshayahu, chapter 7, verse 14. Therefore Yahuwah himself gives you a sign. Look, the Alma conceives and gives birth to a son and shall call his name Emmanuel. Context. Now, what I was saying about the 20,000, they say 20,000 have been killed, and then he said 300 or 3,000 detainees that they've detained and took to jail, and they could be dead. Who knows? They probably wish they were dead. They're probably getting waterboarded or something right about now. So that's 23,000. And I mean, there's the attention to detail right now in everything is beyond any comprehension. And all you got to do is just open your eyes and look. But those who ain't looking are those who don't want it. They don't want the truth. They want to die. They won't tell you that. They don't believe it probably in their own mind. But that's too bad because that's the truth. And it came to be in the days of Ahaz, son of Jotham, son of Uzziah, sovereign of Yehuda, that Retzin, sovereign of Aram, and Pekah, son of Remulah, sovereign of Yasharal, went up to Jerusalem to fight against it, but could not prevail against it. So the sovereign of Yehuda was Ahaz. He was the grandson of Uzziah. Retzin, the sovereign of Aram, and Pekah, the sovereign of Yasharal. So Aram and Yasharal, they're two sovereigns, came against Jerusalem to fight, to overtake Uzziah's grandson, Ahaz, the sovereign of Yehuda. But they did not prevail. And it was reported to the house of David, saying, Aram has set up camp in Ephraim, and his heart and the heart of his people were moved as the trees of the forest are moved with the wind. And I've shown you the little valley that Ephraim sits in. It sits in its own little private little circle down there to the south, in between Jerusalem, the spot, and Moab. In between there, you'll see it. It's a little valley, and it says Ephraim. The town name of the town is Ephraim. Go look at it. That's where they were. And if when they come out, them armies would have come out over Nebo. Nebo is what separates them and Jerusalem. They would have had to either come up over or around Nebo, and they're right there. Boom. So they were camped out on the other side of the mountain in that little valley where Ephraim is. And it was reported. Where was I? And it was reported to the house of David, saying, Aram has set up camp in Ephraim, and his heart and the heart of his people were moved as the trees of the forest are moved with the wind. And Yahuwah said to Yeshayahu, go out now, meet Ahaz, you and Sherab Yashab, your son, and at the end of the channel of the upper pool on the highway of the launderer's field. And I think I got a good idea where that is. I know where the upper pool, where the channel comes out, runs out into the upper pool, or from the upper pool. I know where that is. And said to him, take heed and be calm. Do not fear or be faint-hearted for these 2 stubs of smoking firebrands, for the fierce displeasure of Rezin and Aram and the son of Remulah. So what he says, take heed. They're coming against you. They're evil. Rezin and Pequah, they're coming to take you over, Yehuda and Jerusalem, the city. He said, but don't worry about them because they're smoking firebrands. So it's like if you come up to a forest and you have a flamethrower and you torch the whole forest down, and all that's left is like 2 smoldering stumps to burn down out of all the forest. You done burned it all down except 2 smoldering stumps that are on fire going to burn down. That's what they were. That's what he said to them. He said that don't fear them, because they're nothing. All they are is a couple stumps that you ain't just burnt all the way off down to nothing. Don't sweat it. Because Aram, Ephraim, and the son of Remulah have plotted evil against you, saying, let us go up against Yehuda and tear it apart and break open for ourselves and set a sovereign over them, the son of Tabil. Got no idea, but if I had to bet, my money is on that being related to Hail Zeus in some sort of way. I would not be surprised. I'm not going to bet, but if I had to, that would be my bet. Thus said the Master Yahuwah, it is not going to stand, nor shall it take place. For the head of Aram is Damascus, and the head of Damascus is Rezin. And within 65 years, Ephraim is to be broken as a people. And the head of Ephraim is Samaria, and the head of Samaria is the son of Remulah. So Rezin's son. If you do not believe, you are not steadfast. And those are like signs for you to understand, even back then, that this is what they do. They pretend to be like doppelgangers. It's the trap. That's how the Most High traps the fake and the posers, the pretenders. Because why not? He ain't killing nobody. It's like, I've said this analogy. If you have a farm full of animals and children and everything, and you fence it off so the predators don't eat your livestock, if they're jumping over the fence and eating your livestock, threatening your family, what do? You can go out and shoot them and wait, or you can be wise and set you a trap out there. So anyone that's wanting to come do your family, injure your family and your property in any way, they're gonna walk into this trap. Because if they weren't there looking for the kill, they wouldn't be there at that trap, because that trap represents the kill. If they find themselves in that trap and dead, they had it coming. That's just how it is. You don't get to jump the fence and terrorize and party and live it up without consequence, because you're in the chief's house now. He told us, if you do not believe, you are not steadfast. You have to understand his thoughts are way farther away from yours, way above yours and mine, ours. He does things that you won't be able to comprehend. Tough shit. What are you gonna do? He's chief. That's just how it is. So you can't sit and put limitations on him and think, because you got this, you think the word says this, that that you're the judge of that you set the bar for the word on what it means, that the capabilities of Abba Yahuwah and his mighty right hand. You are insane. Don't ever sleep on the mighty right hand. You best be attentive and follow along like Toucan Sam on the hunt, on that trail, that scent of the truth. And anything else is a lie. And if you like living without finding the truth, It's because you love living a lie. If you do not believe, you're not steadfast. All it takes is love, want, desire. If you desire to have this life that the Most High has for us, you'll be taking this truth, running with it following that scent like Toucan Sam to victory. If you don't take it, when you see this truth and hear it, you deny it because it's contradicting to what you want out of life. And what you want out of life is death. That we don't make the definitions of what the words mean. It's death. The result is death. It's hell. It's Sheol. If you choose that, that's what you get. We all get choices to make. And they're just like in that movie Red Dawn. I played the end of it at the last video for you. I played that section of it where they were invading with the parachutes and stuff. Their dad come up and he said there's going to be some tough decisions that are going to have to be made. And that's the time we're in. The toughest decisions you've ever had to make. But they have to be made, and soon. You have to walk away from all the stuff you know. You have to return to where you have to be at the Passover. Get in. You ain't the shot caller. What it is, if you don't go, if you don't consider it, it's like you're thinking that you're the boss and you're calling the shots. That the Most High, he wasn't serious when he said you have to go to Jerusalem during the Passover. That which is continual. And if not, you're cut off. You're saying that he didn't mean what he said or say what he meant. But I got some bad news for you. He knows exactly what he said, and he means what he says, and he always says what he means. There will be no exceptions. But if you come, you are the rule if you show up. And Yahuwah spoke again to Ahaz, saying, ask a sign for yourself from Yahuwah, from the Most High. Make deep the request, or make it high. But Ahaz said, I do not ask, nor try Yahuwah. And he said, hear now, O house of David, is it not enough that you weary men, that you weary my mighty Most High also? Therefore Yahuwah himself gives you a sign. Look, the Alma conceives and gives birth to a son, and shall call his name Emmanuel. That's the verse of the day, 7:14. The Alma is the virgin. It's the woman. It's the bride. Okay, so when the bride, the renewed Jerusalem and everything is set up, it's established, and there's those who wanted it came home and were ruling and reigning with right ruling, with justice and wisdom, power, unity, wealth beyond your imagination. When that happens, when that begins, that is the birth. That was the whole reason for Messiah coming here, was to get us to that. All of us. And just like then, they didn't want it. Just like now, they still don't want it. The masses don't want nothing to do with it. That's why this is your sign. She conceives and gives birth to a son, and shall call his name Emmanuel. As far as I know, Emmanuel means the Most High with us, living with us. He eats curds and honey when he knows to refuse evil and choose the good. There's the key verse right there. You see, he always means what he says and says what he means. If there was any way around doing what I told you, been telling you that you have to do, if there was a way around it, he wouldn't say what he said right here in verse 15. He eats curds and honey when he knows to refuse evil and choose the good. Until you refuse evil by choosing the good, which is the land flowing with milk and honey, until you do that, The sins aren't covered until you do that. You're held accountable outside with the dogs and the hypocrites. For before the child knows to refuse evil and choose the good, the land that you dread is to be forsaken by both her sovereigns, which is the truth, the word, the way of the life, peace, righteousness. Those are her sovereigns, the Most High. Yahuwah brings on you and your people and your father's house days that have not come since the day that Ephraim turned away from Yehuda, the sovereign of Ashur. And it shall be in that day that Yahuwah whistles for the fly that is in the farthest part of the rivers of Mitzrayim, of Egypt. I've told you I was a river rat. Way up in there in Wisconsin. I've been up and down them my whole life. And they shall come. Oh, did I miss a part? And for the bee that is in the land of Ashur. He's going to whistle for the fly that is in the furthest part of the river of Egypt, and for the bee that is in the land of Ashur. The bee. And that makes me think of good old Utah. The beehive state, you know. And they shall come, and all of them shall rest in the steep ravines and in the clefts of the rocks and on all weeds and in all pastures. In that day Yahuwah shall shave with a razor hired beyond the river, with the sovereign of Ashur, the head and the hair of the legs, and also remove the beard. That's what's happening right now. That's why you can look on Democracy Now! And they're talking about them committing terror, whatever. The world's perception of the image of the beast is changing, just like the words told us it would. He said that they would come together to eat her flesh, and we would see the nakedness of her shame. Yes, that man, he kept saying, that's a shame that U.S. vetoed that thing. And it's, some are stepping back for the fear of her torture, but it's all going down, and it's all going to go down according to plan. And the only thing you can do is do what I've been saying to do. Come home. And it shall be in that day that a man keeps alive a young cow and 2 sheep. And it shall be that he shall eat curds because of the plenty milk he gets, for everyone left in the land shall eat curds. You see, he gets straight to the point. He ain't pulling no punches. He ain't playing with you. It's do or die, my friend. And it shall be in that day every place where there were 1,000 vines worth 1,000 shekels of silver, let it be for thorn bushes and weeds. So in that day, that place over there that's getting bombed to smithereens, all over there, and anything about it, it's going to be for thorn bushes and weeds, with arrows and bows one shall go there. Because all the land shall be thorn bushes and weeds. And to all the hills which were tilled with the hoe, you do not go, for fear of thorn bushes and weeds, but it shall be for sending oxen to, and a place for sheep to roam. And Yahuwah said to me, take a large tablet and write on it with a men's pen concerning Maher-Shalal Hashbaz. And we looked a little bit into that name, and I'm going to come back another time and look into it and get more of the etymology, but not tonight. And let me take reliable witness to record Uriah the priest and Zechariah son of Yeberechiah, Yahu. And I went to the prophetess, and she conceived and bore a son, and Yahuwah said to me, call his name Maher-Shalal Hashbaz. For before the child knows to cry, my father and my mother, the riches of Damascus and the spoil of Samaria is taken away before the sovereign of Ashur. The sovereign of Ashur, and I can prove it to you. You can prove it to you. You can find the truth. The sovereign Assyria of Ashur, or Ashur. Let me show you the translation. The word, it's Ashur in the TS 2009 is what, and that's the translation I use, but the truth, I'm not subject to it only. I'm on a hunt for the truth, and if I can find the correct translation in the NIT, whatever, I'm using that. I like reading from this to you guys, so I don't swear by no label of the word. I swear by the mighty right hand, and that's it. So in the other translations, it's Assyria. You see that over here? Assyria. So the sovereign of Assyria is Satan. I can prove it to you. You can find the truth. It won't take you long if you're reading and you're actually looking. You'll see that is Satan. So he said, before the child knows to cry, my mother, or my father, and my mother, that means the wife of your youth being at the supper time, at the wedding feast, coming down the aisle, you get married and you go to your honeymoon, baby, and you live it up. If you ain't there for that, you ain't part of that. You're gone. So before the child knows to do that, just like before the child knows to do good and refuse evil and choose the good, he eats curds and honey. The riches of Damascus and the spoil of Samaria is taken away before the sovereign of Ashur. So the power that Satan has been wielding over people, about all them that are doing the smashing, all this evil of the image of the beast and whore of Babylon and all that, they're going to be taken away before you guys know to choose the good. And Yahuwah spoke to me again, saying, inasmuch as these people refuse the waters of Shiloh that flow softly, and rejoice in Retzin and in Remulah's son, which are all related to Satan. It's just evil crap. You might as well just consider that, know that that's what that's meaning. You refuse the waters of Shiloh, the waters that have been coming and hitting you in the ear, showing you all this word that says you just got to come home like a deer, my baby. A nice little scenic route with the fam, whatever. Get in the RV if you want. How sweet and gentle has it been? Sometimes I get a little sideways, but it's with the best of intentions, let me tell you. I do love you. But most have refused and instead rejoiced in Retzin and Remulah's son. Now therefore see, Yahuwah brings up over them the waters of the river, strong and mighty, the sovereign of Ashur in all his esteem, and he shall come up over all his channels and go over all his banks. And he shall pass through Yehuda. He shall overflow and pass over, reaching up to the neck, and the stretching out of his wings shall be the breadth of your land, O Emmanuel. There you go. Be shattered, O you peoples, and be broken in pieces. Give ear, all you from the far places of the earth. Gird yourselves, but be broken in pieces. Gird yourselves, but be broken in pieces. It means you can go down in a bunker. It ain't gonna matter. You can do whatever you want. You can go try to buy the oil from them that sell it, but the door's gonna be shut. It ain't gonna matter. You're going to be broken into pieces. Take counsel, and it comes to nothing. Speak a word, and it does not stand, for El is with us. For Yahuwah spoke thus to me with a strong hand, and instructed me that I should not walk in the way of this people, saying, do not say a conspiracy concerning all that this people call a conspiracy, nor be afraid of their threats, nor be troubled. Yahuwah of hosts, him you shall set apart. Let him be your fear, and let him be your dread. That's the only thing anyone should be concerned with, is what does he need me to do? Aye, Captain. Yes, sir. Face down. And nothing else. Anything else is everything else. It's death. And he shall be for a set apart place, but a stone of stumbling and a rock that makes for falling to both the houses of Yasharal, as a trap and a snare to the inhabitants of Jerusalem. Now, that verse right there. It will show you that almost every time you've ever read the word stumbling block, it was talking about the image of the beast, a snare, a trap, a decoy set up. That's why it says, for he shall be for a set apart place to the righteous, but a stone of stumbling and a rock that makes for falling to both the houses of Yasharal, and a trap and a snare to the inhabitants of Jerusalem. That's the trap. And look, everyone's fallen for it, aren't they? Look, take a look around. You probably have been too, but you can stop. Just stop now. Understand now, right now, at this moment, that your thoughts were never above his, not even close. And it's okay that we all were bullheaded. We've all been that way. And I'm not here to beat you up over it. I don't hold none of it against you. I love you. All I'm asking you to do is just do a 180 turn and come this way. That's it. Then no question, no strings attached. Just turn. Come towards the wife of your youth and live. And many among them shall stumble and fall and be broken and snared and taken. Bind up the witness, seal the Torah among my taught ones. And I shall wait on Yahuwah, who hides his face from the house of Jacob, and I shall look for him. He hid his face. He hid himself in this word. And it was like, it's just like when I put out the breadcrumbs. You know, I've had so many people say that they love me and all kinds of smoke blowing, and they all managed to prove lots of times, and usually pretty quickly after they said they love me, they like to prove to me that they don't, that they just said that, and it's obvious because they needed me, like something was going on, and they just wanted to sweeten me up a little bit, soften me up. Because whenever there was a time that arose that would prove if someone loves you or not, they fail the test every time. They let you know they didn't. They've just been doing it for gain. So he hid his face, and that's why at the end of that verse 17 it says, and I shall look for him. The only way you can find him is you got to be looking hard. Look, I and the children whom Yahuwah has given me for signs and wonders in Yasharal from Yahuwah of hosts, who dwells in Mount Sion. And when they say to you, seek those who are mediums and wizards, who whisper and mutter, should not a people seek their Most High? Should they seek the dead on behalf of the living? Now, let's think about what he says there. He says, and when they say to you, seek those who are mediums. Mediums. I don't know much about that kind of crap, but I'm pretty sure that a medium is a mediator, like in between. Seek someone who will ask the Most High to not kill us and to tell us and to do all these, but we're just not like the people out in the wilderness. You know, they told Moses and them, you go talk to him. We just don't want to die, but we don't have to do any of it. So a medium. Seek those who are mediums and wizards. That reminds me of like pastors and these scholars who are well educated according to Babylon. Yes. Yeah, they got their PhD or whatever, their master's degree. But they really aren't masters like the master. And they do whisper and mutter. That's why he says, should not a people seek their Most High? Should they seek the dead on behalf of the living? See, the world has always thought that meant don't go to a psychic and ask them to ask a dead ghost what we do, like tarot cards. That's not what that's talking about. It's saying that anyone outside of the land of the living is dead. The whole word tells us that. Should they not seek the Most High with all these questions and look for him in the truth? Because that's that's where the land of the living, that's how you get to the land of the living. And anyone doing that, coming home to the bride, all of it in matrimony, they're living. Everyone else is dead, the valley of the dry bones. Don't go to them people who are obviously dead. If you want the answers to life, the truth you need to make it home, they're not going to have it. And if they do have it, bet your ass you ain't getting it without going through a paywall. To the Torah and to the witness, if they do not speak according to this word, it is because they have no daybreak. And they shall pass through it hard pressed and hungry, and it shall be when they are hungry that they shall be wroth and curse their sovereign and their mighty most high, looking upward. And they shall look to the earth and see distress and darkness, gloom of hard times, and be driven into thick darkness. So when he said to the Torah and to the witness, so to the word, that's where you go. Just like I was saying, if they do not speak according to this word, if they're just talking out the side of their neck without the proof, it's because they have no daybreak. There's no life in them. Leave them be. And they shall pass through it, through the Torah and the witness, they'll pass through it hard pressed and hungry. When they read through it, if they do at all, when they do finally knock the dust off of it, they're just, it's like a frequency. It's like being in harmony with a frequency. If you ain't loving the word and in it all the time, getting used to it, just like a instrument, you can't just pick one up, and be real good at it, play it like it needs to be played if you ain't put the work in. After you get putting the work in, you just are, you're moving, flowing right along in sync, in harmony with this word. If you ain't, what's left, you're just being destroyed because you got no idea what it's saying. That's why when you go through it, you pass through it hard pressed and hungry, and it shall be when they are hungry that they shall be wroth and curse. The more hungry they are, the more they curse the Most High and their sovereign, truth and peace and all that. And it causes them to look to the earth and see distress and darkness, pretty much the same thing, gloom of hard times, and be driven into thick darkness. Because you ain't looked at the truth to see where your home is and that you need to come home, all that stuff, you can't see it because you ain't looked. You can't see it. When you look at the earth, you see the way it is. You see the empire of darkness set up, and all the boundaries are told to you by them, and you believe it hook, line, and sinker. And you've believed that you can just party it up with the whole Babylon and your neighbor's wife, all this nasty stuff that this world's doing right now, and just stand by and be complicit with a regime that looks just like the ones from the 40s. If you put a little mustache on them while they're talking, it would be the same people, and they're over there just bulldozing little innocent children, killing people, and we're wanting to, for the people over here, the Christians, are cheering them on. They're cheerleading them and bitching and defending them and fighting anybody, debating anybody who says anything about it. And then all the people who are upset about it, who are being victims physically right now because of it, they aren't going away unpunished either, because they've allowed it to happen, and they've been in bed with her too this whole time, just like everybody else. They've let things get this way. They let them people, the people that live there in that land, they let them come in and bulldoze 560 some villages back in the day and kill millions of them. They let all that happen. The whole world has been complicit. And if you ain't been, you might not have been complicit because you just really ain't looked at it, but now is you can be forgiven. All it takes is a 180. As soon as you turn and head back to the wife of your youth and come to your throne and rule and reign forever in joy and peace and happiness, that's all you got to do. It doesn't matter what you did before. It don't matter if you were a staunch supporter of that place over there today when you woke up. if you're at a rally for them guys right now, cheering them on, and this dawns on you, this truth, and you realize that you can't do that anymore, all you got to do is just turn your feet and walk and get out of whatever you're in and go straight to the house. That's the only way you'll live, and that's all you got to do. It's hard. It's going to be hard to rip the Band-Aid off and turn down Babylon when it's all you know. It will be hard for you to do it, to convince yourself to make that decision and take it. But once you do, there ain't nothing that you've ever experienced that's been as easy as what it will be. You'll be floating on air, and Abba will coddle you all the way to the house and enrich you the whole way. And you'll be a new creation because of it. That's that gift that he tells us about. The gift that we give as we come. We give up all that Babylon. We turn and we come home. And that journey, just the steps, just the journey, getting to that spot and finding it and loving it and seeing it, and your eyes opening to it, to the truth of it, and to how amazing it is. Just that alone is more song being sang than anyone who's going to die will ever know. They're never going to know anything about it. Just the journey of you coming is such a beautiful song, and it's not going to stop as long as you keep coming. It'll only get better. I don't know how you would even describe it. One word, I guess, best would be is life.